TinkerCAD tips. That's right, part 3 of the birdhouse design here. Here's kind of a quick walk around of the birdhouse I designed. And where we left off in part 2 is we have gotten these parts made. We had the shell of the birdhouse. Today we're going to work on the front of it a little bit. We're going to put the hole in it, support for the perch. So let's go ahead and grab this. We'll bring it over here. Let's drop it down to the work plane. Make it a little bit easier. So the first thing we're going to want to design is the hole. Now the size of the hole here is going to be dependent upon the size of the bird that you want to move into this. For mine here, I'm going to make this one 50 millimeters. We'll increase the number of sides here. We can shrink this down a bit. Now let's just drag this over here. We'll get this all aligned down the center here in just a moment. Now I'm going to work on the awning part of it here. You see here on this one I have kind of this awning over it to prevent any rain from getting into it. All right, let's start by making a duplicate of that hole. Control D. We'll drag that over here. Let's bring out a solid cylinder. Now this one here, this hole shape is, 50 millimeters? And if I want to add, say, 3 millimeters to each side of this, we want this to be like 56. So I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift. I'm going to click on a corner. Make that 56. We'll increase the number of sides. Drop it to the work plane. All right, what we want to do here is to take this hole shape. Let's bring it up a little bit. We want it to cut all the way through. We'll lasso select the two of those, L to align. Down the middle both ways there. Here we go. I'm going to move that hole shape down a little bit to make sure it cuts through the back. I'm going to select the both of those. I'm going to Control G, union group those together. Now this is when we can determine the height of this. Let's make this, say, we'll make it 40 millimeters in height. There we go. Now what I want to do is to sort of cut this bevel into it here. If you can see up on this one, I have this sort of bevel. That's real easy to make. We're going to bring out a whole cube. Let's make it a bit wider so it goes beyond both sides there. Oop, drop it back to the work plane. I want to make it taller here. I keep grabbing the wrong button there. There we go. Whoop, there we go. Make it quite a bit taller. And we'll make it just a little bit wider. Now we're going to rotate this. We're going to grab here, we're going to go outside the circle. So we get it in 1 degree increments. I'm going to grab the both of those, L to align. Whoops, let's grab that. Shift select that, L to align, go down the middle here. All right, now what we want to do is to bring this box in until it cuts off that part of that cylinder that we want. Right about there. Let's make sure it's cutting off the bottom. You see I need to bring this down a little bit. There we go. That looks good. Let's go ahead and grab the two of those, union group them, Control G. Whoop, let's undo that. We got too much selected there. We'll select that. Shift select the whole box, Control G, union group. There we go. We can bring this up on here. Let's go ahead and drop that. on top of this. So if I hit W, we'll put the work plane on top of this. Select this, D to drop. There we go. Put the work plane back on the default. All right, let's grab all three of those parts there. The back, shift select this. We'll shift select the whole shape. L to align. Okay, everything is centered. Now we want to bring this. Can nudge that. We'll come around to the side here. There we go. That's lined up pretty well. Let's select all of that, all three parts. Union group those. There we have that part of it. We have a nice little awning over our hole there. Now let's make the hole for the perch. Now on this design, I used a cone shape here, but the hole, I didn't build a perch here. Anything printed out of plastic would probably droop. So I had designed this to accept a 1/4 inch wooden dowel. So in order to make that hole here, we can temporarily switch our measurements down here. So we're going to come down into settings. We're going to change the units from metric to imperial. We're going to bring out a whole cylinder. And then I'm going to Alt-Shift, click on a corner here, and you see that says 1 inch. I'm going to change that to 0.25 or 1/4 inch. Let's make this a wee bit taller. Increase the number of sides. So there we have the hole. We'll use that in a moment. Let's change our settings back to metric. Now note, the size of this hole didn't change, but now it says that it's 6.35 millimeters. That's a 1/4 inch. Now let's make the support or the reinforcement portion of this. Let's bring out a cone here. We'll drop it on top of that. Let's make the top radius a little bit bigger. We can do all this in the dialog here. I'm going to make that, say, 10 millimeters. We'll make the base radius 14. Let's make the height 10. That looks pretty good. All right. Now, while we have that selected, I'm going to shift select on this hole over here. L for align. Okay, now let's get everything aligned up the middle of this. So I have the whole shape, I have the cone, I have this back part, the front plate. Click on align. Okay, everything's aligned that direction. Let's make this hole a little bit taller. Push it down in there. Now I'm going to shift select those two parts and I'm going to nudge them up to underneath the hole there. While I have those selected, I'm going to shift select this and union group those, Control G. Just change that to yellow, a little easier to see. And there we have that part of it. All right, we're getting towards the end of this tutorial. Join me on the next one for part 4. We'll start working on the screws and such here. We're going to be putting holes in this front plate a little bit later. For now, let's realign over this. We'll shift select this back part. Looks like we got those grouped together somehow. There we go. Select that, L for align. Click on this one to make it the master. Raise that up, down the center. Down the center, there we go. Let's bring this up. All right, well, join me in the next one. Until then, happy tinkering. Like, follow, repost. If you have any comments, you know where to drop those. Happy tinkering, everyone.